We often think of addiction as this epic battle of willpower. But what if I told you the real fight isn't a fight at all? Today, we're going to explore a really profound shift in how we understand recovery. It's a journey, not a force, but of changing the very way we see the world.
And this quote, it just nails it. Forget that image of a brutal, white-knuckled fight for a second. Instead, let's think about recovery as something much simpler. It's like getting a new prescription for glasses and finally learning to see yourself, other people, and the world around you with real clarity.
Okay, so to get these new glasses, we first have to understand why the old ones are so broken. What is addiction really at its core? I think the answer is going to surprise you.
According to our source material, addiction isn't really defined by a substance or a behavior. No, at its very heart, it's this deep, internal disease of separation. It's a fundamental disconnect. That feeling of looking into a shattered mirror and not even recognizing the person staring back? And here's the crucial part. This feeling of separation, it starts long before the addiction ever takes hold.
So this state of separation, it creates what the source calls a warped machine. Imagine there's a lens inside of you, and it's all clouded and distorted by your past fears, your pain, all those feelings of not being good enough. Every single experience, every conversation, every interaction has to pass through this filter. And what comes out the other side is this twisted, threatening version of reality that isn't even real, but it feels totally, completely consuming.
All right, let's get practical and move to the most critical question anyone faces when they finally decide to change. This is that moment of truth, where you're standing at a crossroads. Do you try to taper off, to reduce things slowly, or do you just make a clean break? And this isn't just about logistics. This question gets right to the heart of commitment versus denial. And the source is absolutely clear on this point. Barring any specific medical advice, of course, the answer is to stop immediately. Any thought of managing it or reducing it, well, that's just the warped lens of denial talking. This is the moment you have to just let go of that heavy, rusted chain and let it crash to the floor. The break has to be decisive.
So, if stopping is just the very first step, that one single decisive action, what comes next? This is where we learn the huge difference between just stopping and actually healing.
This slide illustrates that core difference perfectly. Over on the left, you have forced abstinence. The source calls this a dry drunk state. You've stopped using, sure, but you're still miserable. You're white-knuckling it through life, still seeing everything through that same old warped lens. But true recovery, on the right, that's about a fundamental internal shift. It's about getting those new glasses, healing from the inside out, and learning to coexist peacefully with the world as it is.
And this brings us to the engine of true recovery. If the disease is separation, then the cure, logically, has to be its exact opposite. It's not about fighting the darkness. It's about finally turning on the light.
The source presents such a beautiful idea here. Your mind actually wants to heal. Think about it. Just like a cut on your skin naturally knits itself back together, your psyche is literally designed to move toward health. Your job isn't to force the healing to happen. Your job is simply to stop picking at the wound. You just have to get out of your own way. So the path really boils down to this three-step process. First, you remove the biggest obstacle by making that immediate cutoff. Second, and this is so key, you seek connection. You have to break that barrier of isolation, step out of the lonely darkness and into the warmth. And finally, you just trust. You trust that by doing these things, the natural process of healing can finally begin.
But what does reconnection actually look like in real life? Well, it's not just one thing. It's reconnecting with yourself, maybe by journaling and exploring what you truly feel. It's reconnecting with others by sharing your story with total honesty. For some people, it's connecting to a higher power. And, so critically, it's reconnecting with reality, learning to accept life, with all its ups and downs without feeling that constant need to escape. Okay, let's talk about the timeline, because this is where so many people get discouraged. We've established that the stop has to be immediate, but the change that happens inside, well, that's a whole different story. I absolutely love this quote because it manages expectations perfectly. The decision, that's a single moment. The action is immediate. But the victory, that true internal rewiring of your brain and your spirit, that is a slow climb. It's a process, not an event. It's that long, steady ascent up the mountain, one step at a time, heading towards the sunrise. And this is so important to remember.
Healing is happening even on the days it doesn't feel like it. Every conversation, every moment of honesty, every single time you choose connection over isolation, you are that tiny green seedling pushing its way up through the concrete. It's a slow, it's a quiet, but it is an unstoppable force. You just tear one page off the calendar and focus on today.
So, we'll end with this. Recovery isn't some destination you finally arrive at. It's a path you choose to walk every single day. And it doesn't start with some grand gesture. It starts with a single, small step toward connection. So the real question is, what will yours be?